Okay, so good morning to all. Okay, yesterday we have seen what is the effect of different frequencies on the output of the single stage common emitter amplifier. Okay, so if we're going to see the effect of frequency, then we have to concentrate on the reactive components. And in our circuit, which are the reactive components? These are the capacitors. Okay, so inductor is also reactive component, but as we are not going to use inductor for our amplification, so we are at this moment we are not going to see its effect on the signal. So see here we are using different capacitors. Okay, so while applying the input to the transistor or to the base of the transistor, we are using one capacitor, that is CC1. Now taking the output of the first and giving it to the second stage, we are using another capacitor, that is a CC2, as it is a RC coupled. Okay, so we have already seen different type of coupling. If we are giving the output of first to the output of second directly without connecting any another component, we call it as a direct couple. But what is the drawback with the direct coupling? That is the DC level gets shifted and it is get introduces into the next stage, and that's why it will create the distortion. Okay, so to avoid the DC, we have to use RC circuits. Now, again, if we are connecting the transformer in between first and second stage of the transistor, means output of first stage is first given to the primary of the transistor and transformer, and the what is the secondary of the transformer? If we are connecting one of the uh, transistor to the secondary of the transformer, we call it as a transformer coupling. And then if we are connecting resistor and capacitors for giving the output of first to the second, we call it as a RC coupling. Out of the three type of coupling, RC couple is widely used. Okay, so here we are using the different type of capacitor and one more capacitor at the emitter side. Now along with these three capacitor, there are three more capacitor. Okay, is there actual capacitor? No, these are not actual capacitor, but whatever the structure of the transistor is there, it acts as a capacitor. Okay, so see, if we consider the structure of transistor, what we are doing for making the transistor, we are connecting two PN junction diode back to back. Okay, so how we can analyze the PN junction diode? See, P type, N type, and in between there is a depletion layer, is it? So whatever the contact area between P type and N type, there is a depletion layer. So what we can say, diode is nothing but one kind of capacitor. If it is a P junction, if it is a N type, so here is a P type means positive, N type means negative, and the depletion layer acts as an insulator, is it? So whenever we want to overcome this depletion layer, we need to apply some of the voltages. Okay, if it is a for example silicon diode, we call it as a 0.7 volt. If it is a germanium, standard value is 0.3. Means what? It is a 0.3. Means what? Whatever this diode structure is there, we call it as a diode, is it? So this is the P type means positive type, this is a N type, and in between P and N there is a depletion layer. Okay, so if we consider, if we make consider this structure, we can say that it is equivalent to the structure of capacitor. That is one conductor, in between there is another conductor, and in between two conductor there is a insulating material, and that's why we call it as a virtual capacitance are present in between collector and base and emitter and collector, and that's why these three virtual capacitance acts as a one of the capacitive or reactive component. Now see what happens, whatever these capacitance are there, with low and medium frequency there is no issue, because for low and medium frequency this capacitor acts as an open circuit, so we can neglect the effect of these three capacitance. But what happens whenever we are dealing with the higher frequency, these capacitors are coming to the pictures. Okay, these these capacitors are in the picture, they are showing their action. So what kind of action at higher frequency? They acts as a short circuit. Okay, so at higher frequency, they acts as a short circuit. So for the short circuit, whenever input is going to come, instead of going towards the base, they are going to, input is bypassing through this capacitor, is it? And that's why we will get the less output. So less input. So as there is a less input, output is by default less, and that's why we call it as inversely proportional. So as in the higher frequency range, as we go on increasing the frequency, our output is go on decreasing. But what happens with low frequency? As we go on increasing the frequency, our output is also increases. And what happens at the medium range? As we go on increasing the frequency, there is a no change, or we are go on as we are go on decreasing the frequency, there again no change. Whatever the output is there, it acts as a constant value. Okay, so normally for this graph, see here is a low frequency, for example here is a high frequency. So in between this range is, we call it as a medium frequency, and we are choosing this frequency for our operations, we call it as a bandwidth. So fh minus fl, whatever this duration is there, we are only dealing with these frequencies. Why? Because these during that range, during this bandwidth range, what happens, whether there is a change in input frequency, our output remain constant, and we want a constant output. We are at all not interested in changing output. Okay, for any applications, for example, if we want to grow the if we want to move the fan, what we are expecting, it should be in the constant speed. Okay, if we want to rotate the motor, what we want to expect, that it should rotate with constant speed. Okay, if we want to turn on the tube light, what we are expecting, whatever the intensity given by the tube light, it should be constant. Is it okay that it is continuously blinking on off on off on off? No. Is it okay that fan is continuously moving with sometimes slow speed, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, sometimes fast? Is it okay? No, it is not okay for the user. So for our application, what we want a constant output, and we are getting the constant output only for the medium range of the frequencies. And that's why while choosing the bandwidth, what happens, we are choosing the medium range. Okay, for specific application, if we want to desire some of the application, in that case we are going to prefer low and high frequency. But many of the application where we are interested in a constant output, in that case we are only choosing the bandwidth is of the constant amplitude, we are choosing the frequencies of medium range, so that we will get the output constant. Okay, so yesterday we have seen all these things many times. Many MCQ is going to be formed with this point. Okay, you just remember that last taken screenshot. Okay, that if we understand that screenshot deeply, then whatever may be the MCQ, okay, you can answer it. Okay, so see here, this is our third unit, that is hybrid model of BJT. Now see, what is BJT? BJT is nothing but the bipolar junction transistor. Now what is bipolar junction transistor? Now it is a transistor in which we are getting output current because of the two charge carriers, majority as well as minority. So whatever the output current we are getting, it is the addition of two. Okay, every time we are seeing this equation, that is IC is equal to beta IB if it is a common emitter plus ICEO, that is a leakage current. Means see, this is current due to the majority and this is current due to the minority. Instead of ICEO, what we can write, 1 plus beta ICBO. Is it? So every time we are seeing this equation. So what exactly this equation wants to tell us, that this equation every time wants to tell us that whatever the output we are getting here, okay, so it is the addition of current due to majority and current due to minority, and that's why we call it as a BJT. So in BJT, whatever the output current we are getting, it is due to the both charge carriers. Okay, majority charge carriers as well as minority charge carriers. But what happens, whatever the current we are getting due to the majority charge carrier, it is very high, and whatever the current getting due to the minority is comparatively very low. So whatever means, for many of the applications we are neglecting the current due to the majority. But though we are neglecting, but what is the exact fact? We are getting current due to both majority as well as minority. Now, what is mean by hybrid model? Okay, so what is mean by the hybrid model? So see here. Now, while using any circuit in the or while using any component in the circuit, we have to analyze its input impedance, we have to analyze its output impedance. Now, why we are going to analyze this input output impedance values? So see here. Now, you have already seen that maximum power transfer theorem. Now, that maximum power transfer theorem, how we can utilize here if it is a one circuit, okay, and if it is a another circuit. Okay, now what we are applying input to this circuit, we are getting some specific output. Now, whatever the output of first circuit, we are giving that to the input to the second circuit. Okay, now what happened? Maximum power transfer wants to tell us that now whatever the signal transmitted by this circuit 1 is getting reached towards the circuit 2 when their impedance is going to be matched. Now means what? See, I'm going to tell you one of the concept. Okay, so whatever it may be, consider I'm going to teach you the EDC. Okay, now how you are going to understand that? Okay, so if frequency of my teaching is going to be matched with the your understanding, and then only you are getting that concept. Is it okay? Otherwise, what happens? You are not getting the port network. Actually, transistor is having 3 terminals. Okay, base, emitter, collector. Then why we call it as a 2-port network? See, when we are going to operate the transistor, okay, so for the different operation of the transistor, we are taking one of the what we can say, one of the terminal is a common. Okay, for input and output. So this, if it is a input side, then emitter is common, base is a input, and if it is output side, collector is output side, emitter is common. So what we can say, transistor is having only 2 terminal, input terminal and output terminal. Whatever the third terminal is there, it is acts as a common. Okay, and that's why we can say transistor is a 2-terminal or 2-port network. Now, what is meant by 2-port network? 2-port network is nothing but it is a network which is having 2 ports, input ports and output ports. Okay, so whenever we are considering the 2-port, then again we are having the 2 parameters, input parameters and output parameters. So which are the input parameters? Input current and input voltage, output current and output voltage. As we are having 2 ports, so total we are having 4 parameters, that is input voltage, output voltage, input current and output current. So why we need to study this 2-port network? Now, once we define the transistor under the 2-port network, then we can find out the different equations. Okay, now for this finding out different equation, we are taking 2 parameter as a dependent, 2 parameter as a independent. Okay, so now what is meant by dependent or what is meant by independent parameter? So see, what is meant by dependent and what is meant by independent parameter. Now see, before that, see, if it is a 2-port network, we call it as a input port, we call right hand side as a output port. So we are having input current as a I1, input voltage as a V1. Now we are having output voltage as a V2, output current as a I2. Okay, so in total we are having 4 parameters, V1, I1, V2, I2. Now which parameters we are taking as a dependent and which parameter we are taking as a independent, depending upon that we are having different parameters. Okay, if we are taking V1 as a independent and I1 as a V1 as a independent and I1 as a dependent, then we call it as a Z parameter. If we are taking I1 as a independent and V2 as a dependent, we are taking Y parameters. So depending upon that, we are deriving different parameters for the for the hybrid model. Okay, we are taking V1 and I2 as independent parameter. Now see here, what is mean by independent parameter? So finding out the value. So see here, finding out the value here I1 and V2 as a independent and V1 and I2 as a dependent. So for finding out the value of V1 and I2, first we need to calculate the value of I1. First we need to calculate the value of V2. First we need to know the value of H11 and H12. If we are knowing all these four values, then and then only we can find out the value of V1. Means what we can say, V1 is going to depend on the value of I1 and V2. Similarly, if we are making I2 as a dependent, then for finding out the value of I2, first we need to know the value of I1 and V2. Once we know the value of I1 and V2 and then multiplying with the H21 and H22, then and then only we can find out the value of I2. So if we are making V1 and I2 as a dependent, okay, dependent on what? Remaining two parameters. Which are the two remaining parameters? If V1 and I2 is a dependent, I1 and V2 is remaining. So if these two parameters we are taking as a dependent, we are going to find out the hybrid model. Okay, now